Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Ahsan Qureshi and I'm here to discussing about the managing in a global environment. In this lecture, we will be discussing the managing in global environment, and our discussion will be whole focus on the globalization. So, the globalization is the process of interaction and the people, companies, and governments of different nations, a process driven by international trade and investment and aided by information technology. The effect of globalization has both positive and negative. On individual level, globalization affects both the standard of life and quality of life. On business level, globalization affects the organization, products, life cycle, and an organizational balance sheet. Globalization also affects how government throughout the world create policies affecting areas such as monetary regulation and trade. So, in globalization, we have to focus on the history, culture, economy, laws, and currency exchange, political environment. By keeping all in view, we have to expand the business in the world. And the purpose of the globalization is mainly to control the economy and the hidden business effects. And there can be to get rid of tax. But in later slides, in later topics, we will be discussing about the hidden business benefit, how companies, what policies and what options they adopt to to get the benefit from the hidden benefits, hidden business benefits. So the we have a next presentation to share. Globalization. You can see the globalization is the interaction and integration between the different nations around the world. Globalization is a process that allows people, companies, and governments to advance international trade and investments. Economic benefits: increased trade markets, low prices, and worldwide investment. Increased comparative advantage. Not every nation or religion is the best fit for everyday industry. Globalization allows diversification across the world. As you can see, here the image mining in the rice paddy of Asia and the growing rye forest in South Africa. There is a great difference between the regions as well as concern for the business. So you have to take a look on either in which region you are cultivating or business is suitable for the region. The region is suitable for your business or not. Increased competition, more innovation, and ultimately there will be more choices. Human capital increased. Before we go to further, we have to understand what is the human capital. So human capital is the stock of knowledge, habits, social and personality attributes, including creativity, embodied in the ability to perform labor so as to produce economic values. Human capital: the skills, knowledge, and experience possessed by an individual or population viewed in terms of their values or cost to an organization or country. In addition to increased product trade, globalization means increased idea sharing. This yields greater innovation and high productivity that cannot be easily measured. So the next is the cultural benefits. Making connections, globalization has made proximity cover a greater distance so that something far away seems very close. So we have know about that globalization कहा जाता है ग्लोबलाइजेशन की वजह से दुनिया बहुत छोटी हो गई है. This is the same concept that making connections and business practices allows everyone to participate in a universal business practice to minimize cultural difference. These points will be considered in the next shared video. You will see that. So the shared cultural elements allows everyone to learn about the many ways of to live life. Whether it's eating, where to sleep, or what to say, you know that there's different culture and different cultures. There are different ways of life to eat, to sleep, to talk, to dress, this and that. So this is the shared values people learn from others. Political benefits. National governments have ultimately been responsible for maintaining the security, economic welfare, and protection of human rights for citizens within their borders. And global ecological change, integrated global economies, developing global trends, and political activity will increasingly take place at a global level. Politics will take place above the state through political integration schemes like the European Union and intergovernmental organizations such as the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and World Trade Organizations. Political activity will transcend national borders through global movements and NGOs. Civil society organizations will act globally and from alliances in other countries, directly lobbying international organizations instead of working through national governments. The future of globalization. Globalization will lift economic growth rates and living standards around the world. New opportunities and positive change will arise as the pace of globalization increases. Technology, the infrastructure of globalization has a huge empowerment capacity for individuals. So this all we have learned about the globalization, and this can be easily understand by watching a video. I hope this video will be work. Yeah.
Globalization affects all people in every aspect of life. Because of innovation and communication technologies, we're all connected, giving us instant access to collective knowledge, culture, societies, partnerships, and friendships. That is globalization.
The bottom line is the world is changing. Trend is around time, space, compression.
What happens in one place very quickly affects everything else. The glory of globalization could also be its downfall. And so a new awareness will have to arise.
Globalization is the most critical issue facing humanity today. It has the power to unravel us or make us thrive. It will take all of our ideas together to manage it. One collective conscience, one global mind.
Our theme for the Gothenburg Expo 2020 is the global mind, the future of globalization and its impact on our world. We will investigate globalization in 5 critical areas: globalization and innovation.
Technology and innovation have the power to bring together people and ideas to end poverty and diseases.
Technology is expanding to developing countries and will connect us all in ways that were unimaginable only 20 years ago.
Globalization and culture.
Globalization introduces us to new cultures and ways of life. Yet many fear it is pushing some cultures to extinction.
They watching us. Everybody in
सुनीता, इस लड़के को नाम पे ही दम कर रखा है। आईपैड को लेकर इंटरनेट पे बैठ दिया और ब्रिटनी स्पीयर आईपैड, खा लो अपना खाना खाओ।
globalization and economics.
Our separate economies are becoming increasingly interdependent.
We all become one big global economy, not many different economies loosely connected to each other.
Globalization and society.
Globalization is changing work life and social life. Entire governments are changing because of their citizens' use of social network and mobile devices.
Globalization and quality of life.
Globalization affects our health, human rights, education, personal well-being, and the environment.
The world throws out up to 50 million tons of electronic waste every year.
We have to develop a new way of managing the planet through collective wisdom.
Ekaterinburg will become an observatory of change where we discuss ideas that better manage globalization. We create a platform for innovation and technologies.
Amazing things can happen when individuals and societies come together to change their future.
That we can truly celebrate multiculturalism and address all needs of everyone around the world.
حكومة ديمقراطية للكل.
Decent jobs for all families.
सारे संसार की संस्कृति का आदर करो.
Connections to the whole world.
How are we as a people going to deal with the challenges of globalization? Are we going to be driven out by these forces, or are we going to be willing to grasp them and shape them and turn them into our advantage?
At the end of Ekaterinburg Expo 2020, we will draft a critical document called the Global Mind Declaration, where all participants from every country create the future of globalization and humanity.
This could be our best century ever because of the achievements, or it could be our worst. We can create miracles collectively in our lifetime. It is vital that we do so.
So you have seen the globalization effect, and this was all about the global business and global mind, how globalization affect the international borders. So coming back towards our next topic, that is about how organizations go international. So when organizations go international, they often use different approaches. Managers who want to get into global market with minimal investment may start with global sourcing, also called global outsourcing, which is purchasing materials or labor from around the world based on the lowest cost. The goal is to take advantage of lower costs in order to be more competitive. When an organization has been doing business internationally for a while and has gained experience in international market, managers may decide to make more of a direct foreign investment. One way to increase investment is through a strategic alliance. One way to increase investment is through a strategic alliance, which is partnership between an organization and a foreign company in which both share resources and knowledge in developing new products or building production facilities. For example, Honda Motor and General Electric teamed up to produce a new engine, a specific type of strategic advantage it offers. So this relates to the joint venture, a specific type of strategic alliance in which the partner from a separate independent organization for some business purpose is called joint venture. A joint venture is a business agreement in which the parties agrees to develop for a finite time and a new entity and new assets by contributing equity. Two different organizations join together for one project, that is a joint venture. For example, Sony Ericsson company, and to understand the more the joint venture, we will see a short video. This video is about the joint venture, and you will have a clear idea about it.
In a typical joint venture, two or more businesses agree to contribute capital and resources for a common project. For example, in the oil industry, developers, drilling companies, and service providers could agree to form a joint venture to drill an oil well. If the oil well is successful, those parties split the profit based on the value of their respective contributions to the joint venture. Most often, especially among sophisticated corporations, the joint venture is governed by a joint venture agreement. The agreement delineates specifics, how much each party will contribute, and how the proceeds, if any, will be divided. One important U.S. federal tax consideration is that some joint ventures are not considered a taxable entity. This is specifically the case for joint ventures set up to merely share expenses, like a research and development joint venture. This means the joint venture does not have to obtain a federal employment identification number or file annual tax returns. Finally, joint ventures are common in countries like India and China, where foreign ownership is difficult or even prohibited. A foreign company that wants to establish a business in India or China can form a joint venture with the domestic company, bringing in outside technology and resources while utilizing the Indian or Chinese company's established relationships and government licenses, which are normally difficult for a foreign company to acquire. Some notable joint ventures include Nokia Siemens Networks and Sony Ericsson.
So you have got an idea about the joint venture as well. And now the next similar to the joint venture is a merger. And a merger is one company acquiring other. It will be again elaborated by an example. Merger is that the changes in control of companies that involves combining the operations of multiple entities into a single company. Have a look on this video.
Mergers and acquisitions are both changes in control of companies that involve combining the operations of multiple entities into a single company. In a merger, two companies agree to combine their operations into a single entity. In an acquisition, one company purchases another company and has the right to sell off operations, merge them into similar groups in the purchasing company, or close facilities or cancel products altogether. Companies would choose to merge together for different reasons. One, the combined entity would be larger and have corresponding larger resources for marketing, product expansion, and obtaining financing. This could help them better compete in the marketplace. Two, the combined entity could merge similar operations to reduce costs. Corporate and administrative functions, such as human resources and marketing, are often targets for combinations. They might also combine the production areas if the companies produce similar products and reduce costs by having fewer plants or facilities in operation. Three, the combined entity might have less competition in the marketplace. If the products of the two companies competed for customers, they could combine their offerings and use resources for improving the product rather than marketing against each other. Four, the combined entity might have synergy in operations. Synergy is when combined operations show lower costs or higher profits than would be expected by just adding their financial information together on paper. This could be due to economies of scale, where costs are lower due to higher volume of production, or due to vertical integration, where greater control over the production process is achieved due to owning more steps in the production process. Acquisitions are undertaken for strategic reasons. For example, 1. A company might acquire another company to obtain a specific product. It can be less expensive to purchase a company offering a product you'd like to sell than building the product yourself. Software companies often purchase smaller companies that offer extensions to their product line if they become popular with customers, so they can add the functionality to their primary offering. 2. A company might acquire other companies to increase its size. A larger company may have more visibility in the marketplace and also better access to credit and other resources. 3. A company might acquire another to obtain control over a critical resource. For example, a jewelry company might acquire a gold mine to ensure they have access to gold without market price fluctuations. It can be difficult to combine companies, whether they are merging or one is acquiring the other. Inevitably, there will be some issues. Combining operations means that some people will lose their jobs, since the company might only need, say, one director of human resources, but they have two currently available. Companies may have different systems for managing information, including production information, financial information, and even communications, such as email systems. There can be a significant effort required to merge the systems into a single system in order to take advantage of the synergies of combined operations. Companies may have very different cultures and be unable to work together. In an acquisition, the acquiring company may have paid too high a price for the other company, so that the anticipated cost cutting and savings do not occur due to acquisition expenses. Both mergers and acquisitions are combinations of companies to create a larger or more functional entity. In a merger, two companies agree to combine their operations into a single entity. In an acquisition, one company purchases another company and has the right to sell off operations, merge them into similar groups in the purchasing company, or close facilities or cancel products altogether. There are many specific reasons a company might choose to merge or acquire, but they generally boil down to increasing the size of the entity to reduce costs due to economies of scale or to improve access to credit, expanding the product to add features or capabilities to their offering at the lower possible time or expense, or increasing control over the production process through adding additional control over steps or resources in the production process. The combined entity might have synergy in operations. Synergy is when combined operations show lower costs or higher profits than would be expected by just adding their financial information together on paper. This could be due to economies of scale, where costs are lower due to higher volume of production, or due to vertical integration, where greater control over the production process is achieved due to owning more steps in the production process.
Okay, so that was about the merging and joint venture concepts. Now, the next comes exporting. The next step is going international may involve exporting the organization's product to other countries. That is, making products domestically and selling them abroad. In addition, the organization might to import, which involves acquiring products made abroad and selling them domestically. Both usually entail minimal investment and risk, which is why many small businesses often use these approaches to doing business globally. The next is the licensing or franchising. Managers also might use licensing or franchising, which are similar approaches involving one organization giving an other organization the right to use its brand name, technology, or product specification in return for a lump sum payment or fee, usually based on sales. The only difference is that license is primarily used by manufacturing organizations that make or sell another company's product, and franchising is primarily used by the service organizations that want to use another company's alias name and operating methods. The next is the foreign subsidiary. Finally, managers may choose to directly invest in a foreign country by setting up a foreign subsidiary as a separate and independently faceted or office. This subsidiary can be managed as multi-domestic organization, global control, or global organization, central control. As you can guess, this arrangement involves the greatest commitment of the resource and poses the greatest amount of risk. So here we have discussed the globalization and how to manage the business in global world. So at the end, like a summary, we will have a next video review that is all about the summary of the globalization and revise all the concepts we have discussed in our discussion. Have a look on this video.
Globalization refers to the changes in the world where we are moving away from self-contained countries and toward a more integrated world. Globalization of business is the change in a business from a company associated with a single country to one that operates in multiple countries. Imagine for a moment that you run a business that produces digital cameras. How would globalization impact your company? The impact of globalization on business can be placed into two broad categories: market globalization and production globalization. Market globalization is the decline in barriers to selling in countries other than the home country. This change will make it easier for your company to begin selling products internationally, since lower tariffs keep consumer prices lower and fewer restrictions when crossing borders makes it easier for a company to enter a foreign market. It also means that companies must consider other cultures when developing their business strategies, and potentially adjust the product and marketing messages if they aren't appropriate in the target country. This may not be an issue in the camera industry, but a hamburger company entering India would definitely need to revisit their product and strategies to be successful. Production globalization is the sourcing of materials and services from other countries to gain advantage from price differences in different nations. For example, you might purchase materials and components for your cameras from multiple countries and then assemble the product in yet another international location to reduce your costs of production. This change should lead to lower prices for consumers since products cost less to produce. It also impacts jobs since production may shift from one country to another, usually from more developed countries to less developed countries with lower average wage rates. The primary effects of globalization include distributed operations. Companies may locate facilities in multiple countries. There are many reasons to spread out operations, including reduced labor or production costs in the country where a plant is located, reduced distribution costs due to locating a plant nearer to the customers. For example, a company with sales in Europe may build a production facility in Europe as well, so that goods do not have to be shipped over the ocean from the US or Asia. Changes in location. Companies may locate their firms in new places, both to reduce labor and production costs and to take advantage of free trade zones. In a free trade zone, goods can travel freely between countries and no tariffs are charged when crossing borders. This helps keep prices lower than if the goods were shipped in from another area. Increasing complexity. Although multiple locations and distributed operations may lead to reductions in cost, it also causes increasing complexity in the management of the interactions between the facilities. In addition, although a free trade area has fewer hurdles for moving goods within the region, companies may still have to adjust their marketing strategies for regional economies. For example, advertising in France still needs to be translated into French, even though a German company may send their goods there without dealing with border restrictions. Globalization of business is a movement toward operating in multiple countries, both to reach new markets and to reduce costs of production. The primary effects of globalization on a specific firm may include more widely distributed operations, changes in the location of business functions, and increasing complexity in managing the operation.
Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this video and your concept is clear about the globalization and how to manage the business in the global world. And this was all about this chapter. So if you have any questions, please type in the comment box below. See you soon with the next lecture of corporate social responsibility and ethics in business. Thank you very much.